All right, welcome to the Canary in the Cage podcast. I'm Ron Morgan and my co-host
Dave Havlicek.
We're here to entertain you, educate you, and hopefully make you laugh.
I got some Monero news.
Oh, really?
So we had a challenge last week about hourly vote tallies. Now nobody answered that, and I kind of thought that might be hard to impossible. So I threw a bonus one in the channel, and nobody answered that either. But we got a donation.
Oh.
0.1 Monero.
Okay.
From Oliver Chase.
I'm starting to love that guy. Are you gay too, Oliver? We might need to get him up a beer. You might be able to flip me at some point.
So the challenge this week, we'll get to that later in the show, but the winner is going to get the 0.1 donation plus the 0.02 since it's rolling over from last week. So 0.12 is up for grabs this week.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
Hell yeah.
Hey, what do you know about DOGE?
DOGE? Which one? The
cryptocurrency.
I've heard of it.
Have you heard about the new government organization that may or may not really exist?
I have.
I love Elon Musk.
It's not a government organization.
Or department.
Well, it's not going to be related.
It's a fake name.
No, I know.
I think. It might be. Trump might make it real.
No, it's real.
Oh,
they've already confirmed. They got the Twitter account up and the X account up and everything. But it's not a government. It's not connected to the government. It's not funded by government.
Oh.
So what it is it's a private entity that will come up with ideas on how to cut government.
Oh, like a think tank.
And then they're going to, think tank. And then they're going to give those ideas to Trump. And then Trump is going to hopefully listen to them.
So I heard today that they might be cutting, overall, at the end of all this, they may be cutting over 200,000 government jobs.
I hope so.
And somebody's like, oh my God, that'll crash the economy.
Why?
And I'm like, what? Do you not know how that works?
Well, okay, so it will crash the stats that the eggheads use to say, oh, this is how the economy's doing.
Yeah.
So, unemployment will spike up because you have a bunch of unemployed people. But they're no longer receiving government checks, which means there's going to be a government surplus, which means they can stop taxing us so much or stop issuing more debt and stop causing inflation. And then those people will go get real jobs in the private sector, which is how productivity happens.
Awesome. So I got a quick question for you. When Elon Musk bought Twitter, his first day he walked in with the bathroom sink.
Yep.
What do you think he's going to walk in the White House with?
I hope we have a meme for that. But no, I there's a lot of bitching about this DOGE thing. But no, I think, it might not do anything, which is fair. Maybe Trump doesn't listen, or maybe it's just a boondoggle. But it's an idea, right? It's something we haven't done before. It's something worth trying, right? And actually, Elon posted today on the DOGE X account, they're trying to hire people. Well, I don't know about hire. They said, we're looking for workers who could do 80 plus hours of work per week. Send us your resume, and we're going to do, cut all the waste. I don't know if they're paying or not. I replied back, what are you paying?
Yeah.
But since we're shadow banned, I don't think they even saw it.
Hey, Elon Musk, you fix that.
Yeah,
we're very complimentary of you. We actually like you. So the other thing Elon Musk did this week that I thought was interesting, and I kind of dig it.
Yeah.
He's like, so Republican Congress members, toe the line, or I'm going to finance your primary, the person running against you.
Please do that.
Let's clean house.
Finance me, Elon. Fuck. Get me elected in the Libertarian Party. No, so the other thing I want to talk about with the DOGE thing is that, so they're only going to be talking to Trump, allegedly, or they're only going to have Trump's ear. So they can really only cut things that Trump has authority to cut.
Right.
So now Congress might get on board, right? That's a possibility. But let's assume that Congress is hostile.
Right.
So what can Trump actually do by himself?
Well, he's got executive orders, different than what Biden did.
Right. Well, but what can those executive orders actually cover? Because he can't. What's a good example?
No tax on tips and no tax on Social Security.
Right. So he can't change that up by himself. He can't close a government department by himself. So he can't shut down the Department of Education. But he can direct them to do certain things.
Can he defund them, though?
He cannot defund them, but he can fire a lot of the employees. Right? So he can just say, well, I'll just have a director, and he gets the money, and he can just dole it out to the states directly. And we're not going to do any programs, nothing.
So I heard something today, and I haven't had a chance to look into it because I was preparing for the interview that we have. Apparently, there's employees of the White House, and this happened when Obama left and Trump came in the first time, and they say it's happening now. They hide themselves, and they it's kind of like deep rooting or rooting their. What? Jeez, I'll give you the name of it as soon as I can figure it out. But
are they hiding in the curtains? Or
no. They still have a job. They still get a paycheck, but they hide within the payroll system. They still get a paycheck, and apparently these were the whistleblowers during the Trump campaign. And they do it. They do it to stop his campaign. So yeah, it's interesting. I haven't had a chance to look into it, but I'm going to, because this seems like
speaking of,
I believe in.
Speaking of doing like research and follow-ups, I looked up the SNL issue.
Okay.
They had Kamala Harris on.
Yes.
They do need to offer Trump, even though it wasn't political related.
Right.
It's anytime you broadcast a political campaign. Yep. You have to offer the opponent the same or roughly equal time.
Yep.
So yeah, they could be in trouble for this.
I hope they are, because this shit's got to stop.
I mean, I don't really give a
fuck. And I don't care about if SNL has one political party on and not the other. It's follow the fucking rules. You guys are the lawmakers of this country.
Sometimes rules are stupid.
I agree. Then remove them off the books.
Yeah, well,
that's my problem, because like here in Nevada.
Yeah, you're with your hat thing.
Right, well, but no, it's a lot of stuff, and it's like,
But who cares? I mean, really, honestly, like, so you're
lead by example.
You're doing this whole thing where like this is why you're not a real libertarian again, right? You give the government this magical quality where they wrote it down. That's the rules. Where like you would never treat any other entity this way. So, for example, if you told your son in your house, the rule is this. And, like, your son was like, I don't give a fuck. And then you didn't do anything about it. It's not the rule.
See, you keep saying I'm a fake, not a real libertarian, but my libertarian roots go to personal choice and personal responsibility. That's two of my core values of why I'm a libertarian.
So why are you giving these government rules this special quality?
Because they need to enforce them. Because
they don't.
Remove all laws.
Why?
I'm fine with that.
But why? Why bother?
But remove the laws that
Why bother? Who cares? It's just words on paper.
No,
why are you giving them magical quality?
So if you have a bullshit law in the books and the cops decide not to enforce it, then that becomes subjective. That leaves the cops open to subjectivity when they're at the traffic stop.
But they're subjective anyway.
But we need to stop that.
We can't stop it. That's the problem. Like you're imagining this world where we can have these magical pieces of paper, and that's the law. And then, like,
we'll see
that's not how it works. It just doesn't work that way. Like,
we'll see if that changes.
Yeah, it's
under Trump. So, who was your favorite pick so far?
Is it a toss up between Matt Gaetz and Tulsi Gabbard? I guess. Now, like, both of them have issues, right? I'm not a big fan of either of them, but there's things I like about them.
Yeah.
And especially the offices for which they've been nominated. So. Like Gates, I think he's bad on immigration. He's bad on what else? I mean, I haven't deep dived into the guy, but he's a firebrand. I love that.
Yep.
He's very fast on his feet. Witty comebacks, that kind of stuff. So he does have a law background. So it's not like let's just nominate.
Yeah, he's a lawyer.
Yeah, he's a lawyer. So he's definitely up for the job. And I've heard the questions that he asks on committees in the House. So he knows how to ask the right questions, get down to the facts.
He's a fighter, and that's all I care about.
Yeah, and then Tulsi, she's a leftist on a lot of things, which, fuck that. But putting her on intelligence, I love that idea. Because they were spying on her.
She was on the no-fly list.
She was on the no-fly list. She's going to fuck these people up.
Uh-huh.
That's beautiful. And, just today they announced RFK.
See, that's probably my favorite one right there.
Before we talk about RFK, I posted this on our X, which no one can see because we're shadow banned. But 6 days ago, all these articles came out saying the Trump campaign is distancing itself from RFK.
Yeah.
RFK's not going to get his position.
Smear
RFK's done.
Yep.
And I was like, what are you talking? Like, maybe they're right. I don't know because I have no source.
Yeah.
But what's your source? Show me the data.
Yeah.
And now today, yesterday for you listeners, Trump announced RFK for the Department of Health and Services.
Well, they did the same thing to J.D. Vance.
Are any of these places going to retract those articles?
I doubt it. Well, they didn't retract the article. So JD Vance, when he first got picked, they did the same thing to him.
Yeah.
He's horrible. He's the lowest rated person, vice president pick ever. He's out of control. They kept like just downplaying him. I'm like, who are they watching?
Yeah.
And apparently they were just trying to get that story going. It didn't get any likes.
I think we might have to go look at those articles with our ad blocker off. And see which ads come up.
Yep.
And then do some anti-ads for those companies. I think we should do that.
I think we should. I mean, at this point, because here's the thing: the national media, they're kind of hurting right now. And I said this before. Yeah. Let's attack let's attack when we can.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm bringing this up is Christmas is coming, and if anybody is looking because you love our show so much and you want to buy us a Christmas gift, MSNBC's for sale.
I would take that.
Give it to Dave and I.
Oh yeah,
we'll run that news channel.
Hell yeah!
So
turn the Canary in the Cage 24/7. Just replay old episodes.
No, we can bring in Bongino. So Bongino now. So okay, here's
someone floated him for Secret Service.
Well, okay, so that's not official.
Yeah, no, I know it's not.
But you got this is like a split. So should he go this? If he's offered, should he take it? Because he is probably he's the number one podcaster in the conservative movement for live streaming audience.
Okay.
Do we want to lose that?
I don't think you would necessarily lose that. I think he could do both.
Protect the president and do his podcast?
He's going to be the head. He's not going to be personally doing it. So
I think they should, but I think it's just because he talks about the Secret Service a lot.
I tell you what, if I won for Congress, we would still be doing the show.
Yeah,
right?
Agreed. But do you think it would be the head of the Secret Service might be a little busier because they don't go in recess?
Not really.
They take weeks off and months off.
No, but he only has to do one show a week. Like, is he doing?
He's daily.
Okay, we can just cut it back.
Well, he does a daily podcast and a daily radio show.
Yeah, he can just cut it back to a week. That's fine.
And that's true. So, I said something in my head. It just fell right out of my head. Damn it. It was a good one,
okay,
too.
So I talk about Costco a lot.
Yeah.
How I love Costco. I might have to stop shopping there.
What'd they do?
Well, so the FDA force recalled 80,000 pounds of Costco butter.
Wait, it's because it contained Coca-Cola, right?
Well, so what happened was, we actually talked about labeling laws a couple weeks ago, and it's funny that this happened. They mislabeled their butter, and people who are allergic to certain materials could die from eating Costco butter because they didn't label it right. So if you're shopping for butter and you flip the box over and it doesn't say the phrase contains milk, you might think that there's no milk in that butter. And you might buy that butter and then go home and eat it and then die.
Well, but do we know that Costco wasn't doing this on purpose?
I doubt they did it on purpose. Like,
I don't know why you'd want to kill but maybe just kind of thinning the herd out, getting rid of the dumb people. I mean, seriously.
Okay,
butter,
first of all,
milk.
Have you ever looked at a box and looked for the phrase contains milk or contains nuts or contains whatever the fuck? Have you ever done that?
Absolutely not. But I'm not allergic to this shit. But
okay, that's fair. Like, if you were allergic to peanuts, you might.
I would find a way to become unallergic to peanuts because I really love peanuts.
Peanuts are deadly. Like, they're one of the worst things to be allergic to.
Okay,
but for example, let's say you're going down the condiments aisle and you're looking at jars of peanut butter and you have a peanut allergy.
Right.
And it says Jif peanut butter, and then you flip it over and you don't see the word.
You're like, holy shit, there's no peanuts in this.
Yeah, it doesn't say contain. Are you going to buy that Jif peanut butter?
If I want to die.
I mean, like, what the fuck? So, what is this?
No, but
you know butter has fucking milk in it! Everybody knows that!
Except the stupid people.
Oh my god.
So let's feed the stupid people butter with milk in it.
If you read the ingredients list,
and seriously,
it said milk. And milk product, like, it just didn't have the phrase on the other part.
So I know lactose intolerance. I get that, but does milk actually kill you, or just give you gas?
No, there's a difference between allergy and intolerance.
Okay,
2 different things. So And I'm pretty sure you can have butter while lactose intolerant. There's no lactose. Don't quote me on this. Yeah. I'm not an expert.
This is not medical advice.
Do not go out and eat butter just because you're lactose. And I said so. I don't think that there's lactose in butter. I could be wrong. Look it up on your own.
Oh, because the process of making the butter could remove the lactose.
Yes, but there are other milk solids in butter. And that's what triggers the people that are allergic to milk. Okay,
because there's a huge debate in the beer industry that is there gluten in beer? And people say, no, the process of
there's no gluten.
Well, no, the grains. So there is gluten products in beer.
There's gluten,
like the grains.
So gluten is what makes bread, like, sticky.
Right.
And hold together. But that beer doesn't do that. Beer's a liquid.
No, the marketing thing now is gluten-free beer. Well, everyone's like, no, the process it takes to make the beer removes the gluten.
Yes.
But, yeah. So.
Yeah, of course it's gluten. That's like gluten-free steak. No shit. You know what gluten is?
Oh, Lordy. What else do we have going on today? I like some of the picks. Rubio I'm a little concerned with, but I think he'll be fine.
The other thing was early in the week, again, all these news articles, Mike Pompeo back in, right? Because Pompeo was fucking war hawk that Trump picked the first time. And all the articles... Mark Pompeo confirmed. Nikki Haley is confirmed for this and that. And then Trump posts on Truth Social or wherever the fuck he posts. No, we will not be having bird brain Nikki Haley and Mike Pompeo in our administration. Where are these fuckheads getting this stuff?
Well, apparently Ukraine chimed in on this.
Okay.
And they said they're upset that Pompeo's not going to be in.
Good.
Well, no, because when someone reached out and looked into this, the Ukraine, whoever's like the Ukraine press secretary or whatever, they're like, we never said that. We're actually excited about Trump coming in because we want this shit to end. So they know Trump's going to end the war.
Dude. Yeah, they're just like making shit up. It's pure making shit up. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, that's what I've talked about before. They're lying, and that's why we need to stop them. And grassroots, I guess. I don't know. Looking at some listeners, help us out. Let's take out the media while we can. But there is some new. You might like this one. So there's a new update on the DNC bombing suspect.
The pipe bomb?
I really haven't touched on this a lot. I've mentioned it quite often, but I mentioned it in passing because it's the Dave Bongino thing because he is like deep rooted in this thing and he's gonna find out. But so the FBI said, we can't find the bomber because the cell phone data was corrupted and we can't locate him. Okay. Well, today the cell phone company went, what do you mean it's not corrupted? We have it right here.
Holy fuck.
So we might find out who the bomber was.
That'll be fun.
How the fuck we didn't know this the day of or the day after when the FBI agents followed the guy home and was told to stand down?
You think it's Hunter Biden?
No, actually, they already know who it is.
Oh, okay.
Well, because whistleblowers in the FBI.
Yeah.
Because the FBI agents were told to follow the guy. Yeah. They got on the train with him, and they ended up outside his house, and they were given a stand down order.
Speaking of Hunter Biden, his sentencing is coming up, I think, next week.
He's going to be... stroke of the pen.
So here's the thing. I want him to be pardoned for... I don't want him to be pardoned for the gun crimes. I want it to go to the Supreme Court, and I want the Supreme Court to throw it out for a violation of the Second Amendment. Because that would make this Form 7743 illegal for everybody.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, it would be funny if Trump pardoned him. It would be fucking hilarious.
Well, I think Biden's going to pardon him. I mean, Biden's
he said I don't know, man.
The documents
It would look really bad. It would look really bad.
To who?
To everybody.
So you'll never vote for Biden again?
No.
Oh, okay. And anytime he runs for office, you'll
look bad for all the Democrats. Like they're already in the
He doesn't care.
That's
they
true,
fucked him. He voted. I guarantee you, he voted for Trump.
Right,
and his wife voted for Trump.
But if he does this, they'll release the pedo tapes or whatever they have on, because they have it. Everyone has shit on everyone, right?
So, but that comes to Gates. That's the thing.
I
believe they have compromising information on a lot of Congress members,
of course,
and that's what keeps them in check. Because, like I said, I talked about this before.
Bernie Sanders, that's why Biden might not do it.
His wife is damn near ignoring him. When they're walking across the beach, she's like, "Fucking old man, keep up." So
does he even remember Hunter anymore? I mean, come on.
But no, he is just like all lively and happy now. You see that? He saw Trump walking the Oval Office. Like, welcome back.
I really don't want to see a part in here because I want the precedent to be set.
No, I agree
that this form is illegal. The ATF has no right to make us sign these forms.
But if you were a father, would you take that chance of your son going to jail?
Well, okay, but if you ran your whole life on banning assault weapons and gun crime and gun this and gun that, it's not like, okay, I guess Biden doesn't care about his own legacy at this point. He's old and decrepit. He doesn't care. His life is over. He has no track to go through. But that's what I'm saying. The other Democrats, like, they're already fucking blowing up. Like, the Democrat Party could die from all this shit. And, like, that will hurt them even more.
Oh, it's beautiful to watch.
It's amazing because they're all blaming, like, everyone's blaming this and that. Like, no one's looking at, what did we do wrong? How can we fix this?
So basically, we have to surmise there were a number of people in the Democrat Party that thought Harris was going to win. I truly believe that.
Of course.
Because the whole time, the last few weeks, I'm like, she can't win. Yeah. You don't run a campaign like this. There's no way she's going to win. But they really thought she was. Now, was this because of cheating? Or was it because we know it wasn't for popularity. That woman's not popular with nobody. And this damn near
they spent $1 billion.
Oh, nope.
$1 billion and $20 million.
Yes, because she's $20 million
plus
in debt.
Interest. Yeah.
So the dumb bitch can't even manage her own finances, and she wanted to run for president. Really? And I don't care. This is not it's not a woman thing. Run Tulsi Gabbard. She'll do a lot better. There's a lot of strong women out there that would do very well.
Yeah, Hillary would have done better.
No, Hillary's an evil.
But she would have done. She's competent. She's competently evil. Harris is just stupid and evil.
She's just dumb. Yeah. No. So I don't like hearing this. Well, it's because she was a woman. No, bullshit. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I actually prefer strong women, and I do. If you meet my wife, she beats me up all the time. So this bullshit of they're just driving me crazy. Oh well, no strong women. Because okay, so here's the deal.
What about Thatcher? Like people?
We're gonna host a debate here if we get this set up.
Yeah.
I want the Democrats to pick 5 of their strongest women, and Republicans to pick 5 of their strongest women.
Oh God.
No rules. Let's do a debate with those women. Let's see. Let's see who wins that debate. But we still get Tulsi Gabbard. I'm not sure if she would actually qualify for it, but she's a pretty intelligent woman. Let's see. Because it will be embarrassing. You think the Harris loss was embarrassing? Oh, bring your 5 best and brightest.
Well, we were at a libertarian meetup one night, and one of the local state assembly women just happened to be at the same bar.
Oh, really?
And we convinced her to come over and talk to us.
Huh.
And she was fucking stupid. I don't know
if I recall that. I don't
think you were there. You weren't there that night.
Oh, the judges were there.
That's a different day. I'm not going to say who it was.
Yeah,
but she had no concept of even the purpose of government. Because one thing that stood out to me is she said, "Well, you elect us to be your boss." And
someone needs to do some reading.
That set me off a little bit. And I'm like, no, excuse me. That is not the purpose of government. You are not our boss. We are your boss.
You are the car. We are the driver.
And, we got into it was a respectful discussion.
Wait, seriously?
No, yeah.
With you?
Yes.
No yelling and waving your hands?
I was loud, but I wasn't, calling her a fucking retard or anything like that.
You gotta love Dave, people.
But no, they're just fucking dumb. They're so dumb. They don't know anything about anything.
And she won, right?
No. Well, she won for re-election, yes.
Because it's Nevada. It's Democrat,
yes. Yeah. Oh, I didn't look it up. I didn't check, but I assume she won.
All Democrats won in Nevada, dude.
Oh, okay.
Even though the state went to Trump.
Yeah.
And even 2 years ago, the state went to Republican governor.
Yeah.
For some reason, everybody else who wins is a Democrat, even when the popular vote goes to the Republicans. So I think if you factor in the aliens that are in Area 51 and the solar flares, people get stupid and vote Republican for the high offices and the Democrat for the rest. I don't know. I actually heard there might be some court cases in Nevada right now, and not being challenged by the Republican Party. Being challenged by the citizens of Nevada.
Yeah.
They're like, this is wrong. This is not right.
Oh, hey, look at that. She actually lost.
Oh.
She did not get reelected. Well, there you go. The system works.
So, who got elected?
Some random Republican.
I did not know, because I know 2 years ago, no Republicans won.
Well, there you go.
All right, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there was no voter fraud in Nevada.
Maybe I did it. Maybe it was my doing. There you go. I fixed the system.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm taking credit. I don't care.
Yeah. Oh, what else do we have?
I got one more thing to cover on my end. You remember Polymarket?
Oh, I heard about this.
Polymarket was the betting site where people could bet on the election. And they had Trump as a favorite kind of early on.
But not the entire time, because there was a few times you showed it to me. I'm like, dude, right. bet Trump.
They weren't open to U.S. customers. You could do it with a VPN, but I don't like to gamble on shit like that.
Yeah, it's too influenceable.
But the CEO was raided by the FBI. They took all his electronics.
So
didn't say why. The warrant just said, we're going to take your shit. So what's going on with that?
FBI needs to be defunded.
Well, who do you think is going to be the head of the FBI?
Is it going to be a Vic Ramaswamy?
No, it's not going to be Vivek. I don't think Vivek's going to be involved at all.
Oh, really?
Because he's part of the DOGE group.
Yeah, but then there's also Kash Patel. There's one of the two names that keeps popping up.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but it's one of those two guys, and I would be happy with either one of them. I like both of their views.
Interesting. Who do you think the Libertarian's going to be? In what department? Let's talk about that. Because you owe us, Trump. Better put that fucking Libertarian in there.
So, not knowing what department he would go for.
Well, there's not many left, right?
Yeah, what Libertarian?
I know
he's going to do it for popularity. Okay. So we've got 2 or 3 Libertarians that do successful podcast.
I don't think he's gonna. The podcasters aren't gonna say yes. That's the other problem. I don't think Dave Smith will say yes.
You don't think so? Oh well, I mean,
the guy wouldn't even run for president for us.
Running for president is one thing, and working in the White House is another thing. Isn't he the one that got in trouble for taking money for his podcast? Did he shut his podcast down?
No, not Dave Smith. That's Tim Pool.
So maybe Tim Pool.
He's not a Libertarian. Fuck him.
Oh, he's not.
No.
Oh, I thought he was.
He's like a Tulsi Gabbard Democrat.
Ah, okay.
No, he owes us a Libertarian. It could be Massey.
But no bullshit. Massey's not a Libertarian. He is an elected Republican.
That doesn't matter. That's not what Libertarian
matters. No, it matters to me because the media will say,
okay, so then he could pick Chase Oliver then. Why not?
He could. I don't know why he would.
But you would accept that?
Somebody's got to clean the toilets in the White House.
So you would accept Chase Oliver?
He didn't say what position.
No, he didn't.
So maybe he's the guy who cleans the toilets.
No, he said cabinet. He said in the cabinet.
No, we have a cabinet member in charge of cleaning the toilets.
No, we don't.
Not mopping the floors, just cleaning the toilets. It's a new cabinet position. It's very important to the White House. We need to have shiny porcelain. No, because I don't want the media, I don't want to give them an out on this. If you do Massey, he's a Republican. Well, he's like
the media's not even going to fucking report it. What are you talking about?
No,
they don't give a fuck about our issues.
If we create a ruckus about a Libertarian being in office, they're going to go, no, he's a Republican.
We don't care what the media says.
I do, because my whole problem with Chase Oliver was I want to move the Libertarian power forward.
If he picks Massey, that counts. That counts. It absolutely counts.
I want Massey in the cabinet, but I don't think it counts. Okay, I say it's got to be like me. Why not me?
You're nobody. What the fuck do you know how to do?
Come on, man. I'm a podcaster. I got at least 4 listeners. And they support me hard.
Why not pick me then? Just pick me.
You!
Put me as the head of the Federal Reserve. Well, that's not a cabinet position, but still, do it anyway.
You heard of the Federal Reserve guy, right? If Trump fires him, he's not going to leave.
Trump does not have the authority to fire him.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah. So
who does?
So they have a 14-year term, and he was assigned 6 years ago, I want to say. So he's still got 8 years left. He can be removed for cause, but I believe the Senate has to confirm that. So you need an actual reason to remove him, which I don't know how you would.
I mean, he's kind of made some really bad decisions maybe lately.
Yeah, but how do you prove stuff like it's so hard to prove things like that. And then you have to have the Senate on board, which Yeah, that's possible.
No,
but
I don't remember the guy's name with the Senate that became the head of the Senate today.
Thune or
yeah,
Thor?
Thor. I'm just gonna call him Thor. He's made anti-Trump statements before, which is fine.
So did Vance.
Yeah, so did Vance. But this guy says, I made them. I don't hide from them, but I wanted to correct them because my opinion of him has changed. So I say give the guy a chance to see where he goes.
Like
the proof's in the pudding.
I would say like you know what? I still don't like you, Trump. But I'm gonna work with you. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna apologize. I still think you're an asshole.
Well, no, but he could.
You're a funny asshole, just like me.
He might have changed his opinion, though. I mean, J.D. Vance did.
Well, you never know with these people. They're all politicians at the end of the day.
I also then default back to how many times we went to Republican Congress members and hoped that they would do the right thing, and they didn't.
Yeah, they're all fucking snakes in the grass. You can't trust any of them. But
there are politicians.
That's why I would like to hear one of them say, you know what, I still think you're a fucking scumbag, Trump, but I will work with you. You know what I mean? Because
who was that? The senator, I think he's from South Carolina, the gay one that doesn't admit he's gay.
No idea.
He's Republican.
No idea.
Very popular name. Well, he goes, I always vote for every cabinet member the president puts forward because I think that's the right thing to do. Whether they're a Democrat or Republican, they have the right to have their people in charge.
But
and it's what if it's Lindsey Graham.
Oh, he's a fucking idiot.
Well, I mean, he's got a girl's name, so why not be gay? I'm not saying he's gay, so don't sue me, Lindsey Graham. But I mean, there might be pictures of you hanging out with Diddy and Epsilon and fucking dick. I don't know. Jesus.
So let's throw a secret word out there for the Monero challenge. And remember, it's 0.12 Monero, guys. So you want to put the secret word in the channel, get yourselves in the wheel for next week. Secret word will be bail bond.
Oh,
that's a little hint about our segment coming up.
Yeah. So, do you have anything else?
I'm good.
We're not doing our educational portion today because
we have a special interview.
We had someone reach out to us to be interviewed by us. I know. I'm just as shocked as you are. I'm like, no. So, this full disclosure. Dave comes up and goes, "Hey, somebody wants to be interviewed by us." I go, "What?" He's like, "No, seriously. It's he wants to discuss crime rates, the crime around America, and the FBI crime stats." I go, "Oh, dude, he's a Fed." I'm telling you. He's like, no. The guy mentioned the FBI crime stats. I go, that's what an FBI agent would say. So that sound effect may or may not have worked. Is it Dave's favorite sound effect if you heard it? If not, we'll get it figured out. We're still trying there. But no, it was actually, I did some research and saw other interviews of him doing it. Those podcasters weren't arrested. So I'm like, well, maybe he's real. But yeah, we had a great interview with
Ken Good.
Ken Good. He's a bail attorney out of the great state of Texas. How y'all doing? Yeah! I did not say yeehaw to him because that would probably be insulting. But I did call him from the great state of Texas because I do like the way the Texans love their state.
Let's go right into that, and then we'll be back afterwards.
All right. So yeah, I've never lived in Texas, but I like the way you guys introduce yourself everywhere from the great state of Texas. You gotta love that love for your state. So, so what exactly is a bail attorney?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, you start out as a regular attorney, and then you, when I first graduated from law school and started in private practice, I represented doctors and hospitals when they were sued. And, I developed a whole practice doing that. I've always been interested in appellate work. And there was a Med-Mal seminar I went to where they had a section on up and coming important cases from the Court of Appeals. And they had five cases, and 3 of the 5 were mine. And so because of my interest in appellate law, there was a bail bondsman who got in trouble. He had 45 default judgments, or default judgments when you don't file an answer when you're supposed to. Okay. And so he asked somebody, who do you hire to get those set aside? They said, we need an appellate attorney. And I know a really good one, and you should call him. And so that was the first work I did in the Bell area, and then word of mouth passed or spread, and I started representing bondsmen when they'd have issues. And then I'm Texas counsel for several insurance companies now. I'm on the board of directors of the Professional Bondsmen of Texas. I go to the legislature to support bills or oppose bills, to be a resource. And I've written a bunch of articles on bail law, and I've kind of because of my appellate interest, I kind of have a legal. I look at the legal issues from the appellate world. I mean, from the bail world, and so I've written a lot of articles on bail reform as a result.
Oh, good.
So yeah, the reason Ken is with us today is to talk about the FBI crime stats. And we've heard a little bit about this, but we're not experts, so it's actually great to have you here to talk about this. So tell us what's just going on in general with the FBI stats compared to what is going on in the cities.
Well, this really first came up 2 years ago, really, in the midterm elections, because there was this whole issue about crime was increasing, and we were starting to see problems in our urban areas, and we had one side of the political spectrum say, no, crime is not increasing. Look at the FBI statistics.
Right.
And it's just a perception versus reality issue. And I even did a debate with a representative of Civil Rights Corps, which is this law firm that's activist law firm that's filing federal lawsuits all over the country on bail issues and losing them. But they did it. They were arguing the national talking points. I really think they came from them. Oh, it's just a perception issue. But crime is not really increasing because look at the FBI statistics. So here we are. We just finished a presidential election, and that was the argument. But I wrote an article for the Attorney at Law magazine probably a month ago now. And the point of it was there's reason to call into question the FBI statistics. And the reasons are the FBI just changed over to a new system of reporting and gathering this data 4 or 5 years ago. And it requires an investment of infrastructure, of equipment for all the local police forces. And so and they've been slow in changing over. And several of the largest police forces in the country, LA and New York, were not even tied into the system. So, scientists were saying, look, it's incomplete data. And there are other federal agencies that track crime, like CDC tracks homicides, and their data was showing a 20% increase instead of contrary to what the FBI statistics were showing. And then Trump was pointing out the DOGE surveys on crime that they've been doing for decades, and that survey was showing a substantial increase of crime pretty much across the spectrum. And we don't even have to get into all the statistics on carjacking and stuff like that. So I wrote that article, and I was just saying, there's reason to call into question. Well, 9 days after my article was published, the FBI changed their statistics. And suddenly, after all these years, instead of showing crime going down, it was showing crime going up, and it's still incomplete. And so suddenly, the Democrats lost all of their one argument. Their one argument on why crime was not increasing was the the FBI statistics. And so immediately they did a 180-degree turn, and that's why they spent the next week or two saying Trump is a fascist, Trump is Hitler, because they had no argument on crime anymore.
So my experience is I lived in Chicago most of my life, and I lived in Denver, Seattle, and now Vegas. And when they keep saying the crime is going down, I'm like, I knew it was just common sense wise that that's not even possible, because I pay attention to stuff. Crime is a thing for me. Go back to Chicago, they were caught, had to be like 15, 20 years ago, trying to reduce the murder rate by saying accidental shootings or suicide or gun misfire. And the only reason they got caught was because one of the news channels actually spent 24 hours a day listening to the police scanner and kept really detailed notes. So the question I have for you is, when a government entity mislabels crime, should there be charges brought against them for that?
Well, should there be consequences? Absolutely. We have a much more current example of that out of Houston, Texas, and Harris County, like the third largest county in the country. I mean, they had a big press conference saying crime is going down, crime is going down, and there's a political incentive when you're in the incumbent to say crime is going down. But then they got a new mayor, and a month later, suddenly they had a press conference to announce that the city police department had improperly closed over 260,000
Oh,
criminal cases with
Jeez.
the notation lack of personnel.
and the new mayor called that out.
Well, it was after he was elected, so yeah, I think it was a consequence of him. And the police chief had to resign ultimately, and so yeah, it's easy to manipulate the numbers to show crime is going down when you close 260,000 cases, and that has an impact on the FBI statistics too, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it does. So then Houston, they have a pretty good mayor then, as it sounds like. Is that
Well, he's new, and I would say he's finding his footing. But he's an experienced politician, and he's kind of navigating the middle between the two parties. He is a Democrat, but he's law and order Democrat.
oh good for
But he's also take no prisoners kind of. He used to be in the state Senate, and I've testified before his committee before. And if I've been there to testify against his bill, and if you're there to testify against one of his bills, you're going to get yelled at. And so I got
oh
pretty used to being yelled at when he was proposing bills.
good for you.
So I know that crime was really going down in the 90s and early 2000s, and I was wondering if you had ever done any comparison to the modern spike with the 1980s and 1970s. Is it as bad as it was back then, or are we still down from there, or how does it look compared to then?
Well, okay, so I would like to compare what we're going through now as we're repeating that cycle that
Yeah.
you're referring to from the 60s. In the 60s, we felt more safe, so we became more forgiving in our criminal laws. And then as a result of that, crime started to go up, and then the two political parties couldn't agree on how to address it. What really happened is one party refused to participate in fixing the system, and so we had a backlash, and as a result, we had Reagan and we had the war on drugs. And so right now we've been having that same cycle happen again. We were, in the late 2019, I guess, 18, 17, we were more forgiving on our criminal laws because we felt safe, and we've had a huge swing to the left. Look at what happened in California, and where they decriminalized theft under $950, and they did it in a very crazy way. They did it with lying to the voters, in my opinion. And as a result of that, the current DA was defeated by 22 points in LA County. And that proposition that decriminalize, or the effect of it was to decriminalize theft, was rolled back substantially with a new proposition in the election this month by 20 something points. So I think we are having that backlash pretty heavy right now, where we're swinging back to the right. But the problem is, and this is where the left just they just missed the mark. They could have prevented the pendulum from swinging too far to the right by moderating their position, by recognizing that things were not working, but they refused. And so the pendulum's going to swing pretty hard to the right. And it won't stay there very long, because when it went to the left, it was unacceptable to the public when it went too far, because the public demands public safety. But when it goes too far to the right, what the demand is going to be, let's hold everybody in jail until their case is decided and then go send them to prison. Well, the public's not going to be willing to pay for that.
Right.
Right. So actually, I sort of touched back on that when the California law saying that shoplifting, or I think you said 950 is not, they won't even show up. Chicago did that in around 2005. And they put the mark at $600.
Wow.
So all the 24-hour stores or the late night open stores just hire big employees. And for some odd reason, we found a bunch of beat up people in alleys. Just drag them out back and beat the hell out of them.
Well, and the way California did is the referendum changed certain felonies to misdemeanors, and the argument was, well, they'll still have to answer for their crime, but they'll be able to find jobs because they're not convicted of a felony. But then when they changed it to a misdemeanor, the DAs in our urban areas said, well, we're no longer going to prosecute it. So that's how they lied about it and then decriminalized it.
Yeah. So I've got a question on no cash bail.
Yes, sir.
What effect does no cash bail have on the crime rate?
Well, when that's a great question because you think about it and say, well, how does the release mechanism that we use affect crime? And it does it very much so. And let me just say that we have different types of release. We can release you on a private surety bond. We call it different things, different place, but let's just say on a bond provided by the private industry,
Right.
or we have something called simple release where you're just going to be released on your promise to come back. In California, it would be called release on no bail. Released on zero bail. In New York, it'd be called release on no bond. And in Texas, it'd be called release on a personal bond. And then, cash bonds, like you've mentioned Chicago and Illinois. We've had all this debate about cash. We've got rid of cash bonds in the state of Illinois. Well, that's a cash bond. That's not a private surety bond where you put up either 10% of the amount of the bond to the court or the full amount of the bond in cash to the court. And so, but we have the private surety system. We have some type of simple release, and those have completely different failure to appear rate. So the private industry, it has less than a 10% failure to appear rate, and simple release has at least a 50 or 80% failure to appear rate. I did a podcast with the DA in California. They use simple release for all misdemeanors in California. He said they have an 80% failure to appear rate. Houston, Texas currently uses simple release for misdemeanors, and they have an 80% failure to appear rate over that, according to HarrisCountyCourtWatch.com. I'm looking at 2 years worth of data. And when you miss court, your case, criminal cases are unique. They have to be put on hold until you come back. And like in California on misdemeanor cases, there's a time limit. The clock is ticking. So if your case isn't resolved within a certain amount of time under the Speedy Trial Act, it's dismissed. So it's a catch-22. You don't show up. They can't make you come back unless you come back on your own because it's a misdemeanor. And so if you stay gone, they dismiss your case. Well, so the problem is no cash bail creates chaos because the failure to appear rate is so high. Chaos creates pressure to dismiss cases. Dismissing cases is perceived by criminals as a green light to commit more crime. And so you think, oh, well, the way we release somebody, that didn't have an impact on crime. It has a huge impact on.
You see, it's funny you mentioned that because when I started doing some research on this, and almost every article said it has no impact on crime. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense to me. So
yeah. And there's a reason why there's all these think tanks that are coming out with studies and they really cook the books. And it's really the effect of George Soros. And there's books and many articles that are written about this, but George Soros has a plethora of organizations that he supports. But you can break them into 4 categories. There's the group that will give you money to get you elected, and then there's the second group after you're elected. They invite you to seminars and they give you, here's the quid pro quo. Here's what you're going to no longer do as the DA that was supported by us. And they're terrible things. You're not going to seek enhancements anymore. So a drug dealer found with 30 pounds of meth is going to get a 2-week sentence because he's just going to be charged with possession instead of all the enhancements and get 30 years. And then there's the third group, which is the groups you're talking about, that are all these think tanks that are releasing cook the book studies that say, oh, you're safer for releasing more people from prison. And then the fourth group they have is PR firms that will give you press releases that you will issue saying, I'm starting these new policies and these studies show that they will not increase crime. And it's all just crap.
Yeah, because the reason I was bringing that up is when I saw that the article, all the articles saying the crime doesn't go up, I knew of a story out of Denver or out of the Denver area where a man stole a car, got arrested, got out no cash bond, and that afternoon got arrested again for stealing another car. So I want to find that story. So I kind of went to Google real quick, put man arrested, blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't surf through all the stories. Apparently, there is a lot of people committing crimes who got out with no cash bail within the next 24 hours. So,
well, we were keeping track. We were looking for records of people during COVID. And I think the record was like 5, 6, 7, 8 times someone being arrested within 24 hours because they were just being released.
Hell, I would try and just break the record. Like, how high can I go?
Well, yeah, some of them were committing crimes trying to break into cars, stealing cars from the parking lot of the jail as they were leaving.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, actually, wasn't there a Congress member who got carjacked in D.C.?
Oh, yeah.
There was a Supreme Court justice. Yeah, one of them got.
Do you have another question?
I was wondering. So the discrepancies in the FBI stats, do they only track like violent crimes, or is it violent with theft, or is it like all crimes, like embezzlement and other things that maybe we don't want that kind of stuff, but it's not a danger to society.
Well, let me make 2 points on that. Number one, there's a whole class of things that they track, and you have to have certain equipment, and it's automatically reported. So if you want to look at the statistics, you could. We don't know whether it was nefarious that they were thinking Trump was going to win, and 2 weeks before the election they decided to change the stats, or whether another police unit or police group got the equipment and got into the system, and then they just updated all their data, and that's what caused the change in data. Now, the other thing that I want to comment to you about is this, there's some crimes that are not really, we shouldn't be too concerned about. And this theft under $950 started out as that. And let's look at the impact that's had on California. I mean, stores are closing left and right because they can't withstand $25,000 a day in shoplifting.
Right.
And, drugs use around those areas have just become rampant because in conjunction with that, we're no longer prosecuting some drug crimes. So what's the impact of that on commercial buildings? In San Francisco, we've got buildings that have sold for 30 to 50% of their value just 4 years ago. In Minneapolis, that has the same problem. We've got 2 buildings that sold for 9% of their value from the last time they sold. And we've got the commercial property default rate has gone from 5% to 40%. And so if we say, well, are there some crimes that don't really hurt anybody? Those very crimes are fixing to impact cities' taxes tremendously on what they're collecting, because at the very least, the property value is going to go down for their commercial properties. But really the problem is they're closing and they're moving out because the counties won't keep their businesses safe for people to patronage.
Well, I mean, we're a couple of libertarians here, so like when you say tax revenues might go down, we're like, oh, let's do more of this kind of crime. So even you have to admit, for example, having a pet squirrel in your house, and then having the cops come and raid your house and kill your squirrel
and the raccoon.
And a raccoon as well. Sorry, that's kind of ridiculous, right? Like the squirrel's not hurting anybody. They're not driving down property values for anyone. So but I was just wondering. Instead of going hard on that point, do these stats that were these FBI stats, do they take account of that, or is it only certain types of crimes? That was kind of more of the question I was asking.
I know you were asking, and I was trying to, in a finesse way, in a really smart sounding way, to say I don't know the answer to
that. Tricked me. I thought you answered the question.
I didn't know if you would know that answer or not, because it's just something.
But I will say, what was the name of the squirrel? Was it
Peanut
and Fred.
One of my favorite memes that came out the week after the election was it took Lord of the Rings, and when Gandalf was Gandalf the White, they took that and it showed a white squirrel and it says, "I am now Peanut the White, and I'm here at your crucial moment, and I will be with you." And it was hilarious.
I always make sure people bring up the raccoon, because as a child I had a pet raccoon. So I'm kind of partial to the raccoon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I haven't followed that story other than from the standpoint of how crazy it was, and it impacted probably a small percentage of the voters from that area, because it was insulting. I mean, we can't fight crime, we can't hold people in jail, but we're gonna euthanize Peanut and the raccoon.
Right. Yeah. Hey, thank you. It's just another example of government overreach. But so here's my question with the election, and as Trump's kind of bringing up the cabinet and understanding there's a difference between local and federal law. Do you think Trump's going to have a big impact on the crime rate across America?
Well, yes. One of the biggest things I think that the office of the president does is bring a bully pulpit to issues.
Yep.
And so, I mean, you can see the freak out right now by just his nominations, and he's nominated his attorney general, and there was a tremendous freak out over who it was,
Yeah, a little bit.
and the rumor is that that's not even going to be the biggest freak out because he's going to nominate his FBI director probably next, and that one is supposed to be even a bigger bomb.
Cash Patel, I think,
he still owes the Libertarians our person. Yeah, he has not confirmed that yet.
So Trump did promise because we invited him to the Libertarian convention, and he promised to put one Libertarian on his cabinet. So we're waiting for that.
Well, there's the speculation. There was some speculation about who that would be, and the reaction to just the speculation was glorious to watch. But I think that he will bring a spotlight to the crime issue. I mean, and even if he doesn't, let me tell you, I've been telling people, that I know we're stuck in this identity politics, and the Democrats are voting. I mean, they're hoping that the abortion issue would save them, and it is not. But I was telling people, for just one election, vote on crime. Yeah. If you vote on crime this election, then suddenly the Democrats will go back to be a law and order party. And so even if Trump doesn't, you're going to see this metamorphosis, this battle, this civil war in the Democratic Party, because crime is an issue.
Well, AOC removed all her pronouns off her X account today, so I think we're moving in the right direction with that.
So we're actually both in Chicago, and I remember Mayor Daley, and he was no nonsense, tough on crime Democrat. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, Trump had
stuff done.
Trump had a huge commercial that he played in Texas. I'm sure he played everywhere, but they're fighting for they them. Trump is fighting for you, and it was such a brilliant commercial.
He had some great commercials. So I've kind of gone through all my questions. I think, Dave, you're
I do have one more. It's kind of a nerdy stats question, and you might not have the answer to this either, but it was just something that was interesting to me. So I was wondering if there's any qualitative difference about the victims of crime more recently. So, for example, we know that most murders are committed by someone the victim knows. Is that starting to change? Like, is it more random, or is it just more the same?
No, let me make 2 points about that. On murders, we know that 50% of all murder victims in the United States currently are young black males.
Yeah.
And by and large, the murderer of those young black males are young black males as well. And, one of the things that just drives me crazy is in this bail reform debate, we have flipped it, and somehow we're favoring the murderer over the victim in the name of social justice. And they're both, everybody bleeds red, but when the murderer is murdering someone of the same race and we decide that we need to favor the murderer over the victim, it's day's night and black is white, and it's crazy. But where this bail reform movement has done the most damage is in the area of domestic violence. Because, let's say that you are being abused by your significant other. And I think one of the shocking things about that is probably 50% of domestic violence victims are male. So, yeah. It's not a statistics that is mostly women. But if you decide that you want to do something about this, you want to get out of this situation, bail reform has created a situation where you can't go to the police.
Right.
You have to, one, plan your escape. Two, plan your how you're going to live after you've escaped. And three, what's going to be your setup for giving you support. And after all that, it's almost an afterthought now that you will think about going to the police. Because we have too many examples, and the worst example that I can think of is Caitlin Guajardo out of Harris County, Houston, Texas, where her husband was arrested for leaving the scene of an accident and got a personal bond. So he got simple release. And then he got arrested for domestic violence while he was on that personal bond. So he's violating the conditions of his bond by getting a new charge. What did they do? They turned around and gave him another personal bond, and he got out. And within very short period of time, he went home and he killed his wife, and he stabbed her 30-something times in her stomach because she was pregnant, and he didn't want another man raising his child.
Wow. So we're at the point, like I said, we've gone through all of our questions, and in prepping for this show, I was trying to do some research, and I noticed you're kind of on the podcast circuit right now, which I think is awesome. So we're being that we're libertarians. I kind of know your view on like the bail and stuff like that by watching your other interviews. I'm more of a moderate libertarian, and he's more of an anarchist libertarian. The reason I bring this up is if you have any questions, if you're like data collecting anything and you want some difference of opinion, if you want to ask us questions, and you'll see we'll have very.
Well, I would love to talk to you let's talk about Oregon. So we've got Portland, we got Oregon, where they've decriminalized almost all heavy drugs, and we've seen the terrible impact that's had. Crime, drug use went from 6% to 12%, but they were setting a record every month for overdoses, and they finally allowed those statutes to expire, and so they went back to their old statutes. So what was y'all? I mean, I know y'all a libertarian position is we want to decriminalize heavy drugs, but did the Portland experience, the Oregon experience, impact y'all's thoughts on that issue?
Well, Portland is actually one of my favorite cities to visit. At least it was prior to 2020. I've been there a couple of times since COVID. But Seattle and Portland are kind of mirror images of each other. And it's disgusting what's happening in these cities. And the one thing people don't realize in these homeless camps is the sex trade. Young women are being they're being chained into tents, and they're being sold for drugs. There was one story out of Ballard in Seattle that a girl OD'd 3 times, and this final time she passed away. And the reporter said, "Oh, you may know her because she would be with this gentleman, and he would trade her for sex and drugs." And she died at 18, and she was with him for 3 years.
Wow.
And that was in the paper, and I'm like, nobody is commenting. Nobody's freaking out about this. We have a confirmed 15-year-old being traded for sex and drugs in the homeless community. When they closed the jungle was a homeless camp under I-90 and I-5. They literally found women chained into tents. Some were underage. And they were spiked down and chained to this. So the homeless crisis in this country is way out of control. They've destroyed 2 very, very good cities that had very low crime rates before all this kicked off. So,
go ahead.
Well, see, my position on that is, you need the hammer of the criminal justice system on drugs. So the threat of sending someone to prison if they will not go to drug rehab. So we need the hammer, the threat of prison to encourage people to go to rehab, because rehab has a 75% failure rate when you go there for the first time. So we need to be able to send them back and back and back. And if you don't have the hammer, I think the lesson of Portland is they won't go. I mean, they set up all these programs for them to get treatment, and they took advantage of it 0.01% of the time.
Yeah.
So
I saw it. Go ahead. Yeah,
I just wanted to answer your question from my perspective. So when I saw these decriminalization laws come out in Oregon, I was critical of them right away, because what they always do, and this is both the left and the right, they always do this halfway thing where they say, "Oh, we're gonna let you use personal amounts, but it's still illegal to sell." So essentially what that does is it still keeps the black market there.
Yeah.
Yes. Black market, they're going to have low quality drugs that are laced with all sorts of things. You have no restitution if someone kills you, if you OD, right? I mean, we don't see Budweiser poisoning people, for example. Your Starbucks is not poisoning people, right? You can just go to Starbucks and drink your coffee in a safe environment, and there's no stigmatism there. And the other reality is, whatever you do, people are going to do these drugs. You're not going to stop them. People do drugs in prison, right? We can't keep the drugs out of prison. So we need a whole radically new approach where, if you do a crime on drugs, yes, straight to jail, right? No tolerance for that kind of shit. But just doing drugs in your own house, I don't care. I don't.
I care. I care deeply. I mean, I had a sister who had a car accident in 1989, the year I graduated from law school, and she broke every bone in her face.
Yeah.
And she started a 30-year drug addiction to prescription painkillers.
Right.
So it wasn't even illegal drugs.
Can do this to you.
But I mean, I tried everything. I tried to get her put in jail because the jail, I was a young attorney, the jail was a poor man's drug rehab.
Yeah.
And we've completely removed that as a possibility as the poor people's drug rehab. And I mean, my sister was strung out on prescription drugs for the next 30 years. It wasn't until her husband died when I stepped in and had her declared incompetent that we got her into an assisted living facility and they monitored her drugs. She couldn't give them to herself. And her last 4 years was probably the best of her life for that whole time.
Yeah.
And so if we give up on drugs, we're giving up on crime. There's a book I read that said, 80% of all crime can be traced some way or another to drugs. And then I would make one more comment to your thing about, they didn't decriminalize it the whole way. And so they didn't go far enough. I mean, look at California on marijuana use. I mean, I read an article and I even posted it. And then I realized that Facebook was not allowing that to happen right before the election.
Shocker.
But I did a podcast with the author. The legal drug trade.
We lost. Yeah.
Are you there?
In California for marijuana. Hear me? Oh yeah. And it's been taken over by the cartels. And I mean, not just shipping marijuana in, they're moving their whole operations into California, and they're bringing in workers too, because they're not scared. We've decriminalized marijuana. So what are you going to do when you find them on federal lands misappropriating the use of it to growing marijuana, and they've brought in illegal immigrants to be their people? I mean, Mexico's not the only country doing that. We've got Russian gangs or cartels and Chinese cartels doing the same thing all over the country. And you don't hear about it because Facebook and other social medias are editing it out before the election. The first time I heard it, other than that article I read, was Donald Trump saying it.
Yeah.
And then you came up with the apartment complexes being overrun by cartels. And suddenly you've got the mainstream media having a complete meltdown and going, oh, it's only a few, it's only a small number. And then you have JD Vance saying, are we in the United States or what? Because only one.
Yeah.
I mean, so I have a problem with that. I mean, I think drugs are drugs. And when you start having, we're gonna do it legally, we're gonna raise taxes on it, we're gonna make a whole bunch of money, that doesn't ever happen. It doesn't ever happen.
I don't want any
the money
on
never goes where it's supposed to
I don't
go.
want any taxes on it.
But actually, Southern Colorado has the same problem with the cartels moving in and growing weed there, because they were the first state to officially legalize marijuana. And the cartels, and they didn't have I believe when they first passed it, they didn't have a cap on how many plants you could grow. And the cartels were coming in and growing hundreds of plants legally. So they've now reduced that number down to kind of stop that. But yeah, I think. Do
you have any contact info for our viewers? They can find you like a website or Twitter or whatever.
Sure. So if you want more information on the criminal justice issues, you can go to our website, the pbtx.com, which is the Professional Bondsman of Texas. So pbtx.com. We have a blog where we highlight important criminal justice issues. And we also have our own podcast called The Bell Post. There's a link to it on our menu, but you can also just go straight to thebellpost.com. And if all we talk about is criminal justice issues. You want to know what the New Jersey plan is? We've got an episode on it. You want to know what about charitable bail funds and why they're being restricted in states? We've got multiple episodes on it.
Awesome. Yeah, we got to cut the interview at this pretty close because we don't really do interviews like this. So we just signed up for a basic Zoom account, and they're giving me a minute, 52 seconds before they shut us off.
Thank you for
I
joining
understand.
us.
Yeah, but yeah, I did definitely want to thank
sure.
you for talking to us. And if you ever want to come back on again, please reach out to us. We'll upgrade Zoom so we can talk longer if you want.
There are other people I've talked to, and we take whatever. I think you have to take an 8-minute break, and then we come back on. So yeah, it's crazy.
So yeah, no, this is great. I really love talking about this because crime is an issue for me too. I agree. It's
Yeah.
fixed.
Well, and how can we fix an issue if one side of the electorate won't even admit it's a problem? So,
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Yep. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thanks a lot for listening. See you guys next week.
See you next week.
Thank you for joining us at the Canary in the Cage podcast.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share us to help build the community.
You can find us at Odyssey, Rumble, YouTube, or your favorite podcast app, and even on the dark web at I2P.
Thanks for listening, and see you next time.